All right. Call to order. Meeting of the Pleasant Hills School District School Board, December 4th, 2023. 1.1 Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will go ahead and read the, mission statement tonight. Our mission is to graduate all students with high levels of academic and personal achievement, ready for post-secondary excellence, and prepared for productive, passionate citizenship through research-based instruction and a collaborative system of support. 2.0, changes or additions to the agenda. All right. 3.0, introductions and attendance. How many did we have online last time? 30. Thank you. And introductions of audience here with us tonight.
Deanna Williams, Karen Williams. I'm Emily Croft. I'm a student at the high school. We're a small sister at high school.
Welcome. Thank you for being here tonight. All right, brings us to 4.0 public forum. For those who are here on site during this portion of the board meeting, members of the public are specifically invited to present items of commendation and or concerns. At the discretion of the board chair, further public participation may be allowed at the time specific agenda items are under consideration by the board. This is under district policy BDDH. Individuals who are viewing online, the school district posts the upcoming agenda on our website, pleasanthill.k12.or.us, the Friday before regularly scheduled Monday school board meetings. This will allow for public comment prior to the board meeting. Please click on the tab provided to share your comments for the school board to consider at the upcoming meeting. Personnel matters may not be discussed in public at a school board meeting. Members of the public who have personnel concerns or commendations should share them directly with the district superintendent. All right. Any public comment tonight? We have nothing submitted online, I assume. 5.0 presentations recognition. 5.1 student of the month and most improved student of the month.
Yes, I have Kathleen Wilson here. Down. Here's our student of the month. This bonaventure here, you can always count on Kathleen to bring insight and her unmistakable voice to anything she does. In her creative writing class, I love that she is last on the roster because I can always look forward to the last thing to make me grateful to be doing what I'm doing. Mr. Gray shared that Kat has been an outstanding student, both academically and socially. They have a genuine interest in learning and being successful, even in the hardest classes. That being said, what is most impressive about CAP is how well they are liked and respected by all students. Mr. Neal also shared that CAP comes to class with a positive attitude and a commitment to learn every day. She always gives her best effort and shares insightful thoughts during class discussions. And she has a great sense of humor and gets along well with everyone in class. Thanks, guys. Wow, nice. Our motion approved, student of the month is Danica Martin. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to make it. Ms. White appreciates that Danica is always checking in. She is dedicated to trying to do good work and truly understands the information. She takes the time to ask questions and seeks feedback. When she was gone, she made an effort to reach out and create a schedule for makeup work and did a good job sticking to it. And Mr. Neal shared that Danica has done a fantastic job this year. She sits right in front of the room, diligently works each day, so.
Thank you very much. I know that you're probably really busy, don't feel obligated to stay for the whole meeting. We'd love for you to stay as long as you want, we love it when students come. For 5.2 high school student representative report.
Okay. Just kind of like an overview on what we're doing right now. Student council, we have a winter formal this Saturday. So we're spending time planning that. And that was directly, the only reason we're having a winter formal is because we had so many students after our homecoming come up to us and be like, are we having like another dance with a winter formal of some kind? So that was purely like student requests from our successful homecoming. So this week we're doing Spirit Week, which is kind of like winter themed. We're also doing candy cane grams, which is like a winter fundraiser for us. We already had candy canes left over from last year. And just trying to get money for Spring Fest and other improvements around the school that we're looking at making. So we sell candy canes for $1 a piece and deliver them to classrooms. Sorry. Student council is also looking forward to meeting with administration and discuss issues arising within the student body that we're able to come up with. So that's something we're looking forward to. We also combined with Reach Club to decorate the commons for the holidays. So we were able to get a tree in there. And that's kind of in line with Reach Club because we just started the giving tree. So we were able to place that in the commons. We have a lot of like winter decorations that we keep in the library. So we're able to decorate the tree, decorate the commons. Along with that, the winter food drive just ended. So that's why the giving tree started. But it was a success. We were able to bring in a lot of cans for families in need, and that ended before Thanksgiving or right around Thanksgiving. And we ran a successful blood drive a couple weeks ago. So that was also nice. For National Honor Society, everyone has just picked their projects and completed and turned in their like requests and like outlooks for the year. So people are getting started working on that, depending on their own personal timeline. And then the sports roundup, most of the sports are just getting started. So there's not really that much there, but the boys basketball started 2 months ago.
Thank you very much. Any questions or feedback? Really appreciate you coming.
Oh, thank you so much.
Well, again, I understand if you feel like you need to take off, but we love it when students can stay as long as possible. Thank you very much.
That's all she knows.
All right, 6.0 action items, 6.1 approved consent agenda. Assuming since we didn't have any changes to the agenda that nobody had any issues or questions with the minutes for the financial statement. So I'll hear motions to approve those first 3 items there.
I'll move to approve
approval of the consent agenda items under 6.1. Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. All right, then 6.1, accept SIA report.
Yeah, so the Department of Ed requires that CIA grantees complete and post on our website, and a report. That report requires 4 questions, to be reviewed. And so we've got Samantha here tonight that's going to walk through that information and then, take some questions. If you have questions, we'll have a motion and look through the CIA annual report.
Yeah, so for those of you who have listened to me do this before, I'm sorry if it's okay for someone, just so I can see everybody. This is not the full report you've had to listen to me do the last few years. That takes half an hour to walk through everything. OD has done us a favor and streamlined it. They're just down 4 questions, which I have put into a slide deck and have put into your packets for you. But I will go through this fairly quickly, so not to get up your time. Please ask questions, especially if I noticed after reviewing today, I use a lot of acronyms that if you don't know what they are, please just ask me. I realized that I wrote this to ODE and they understand those, but to then present to the board and to the public. Maybe you don't, so just let me know. Otherwise, we'll just go right through this. Their first question they wanted was, what changes in behavior, action, policies, or practices have you observed related to the SIA implementation during the 22-23 school year? So this is last school year. How do you see these changes contribute to your goals and outcomes in your SIA plan? So last year we focused on K-12 an SEL initiative for both staff and students. We use the services of our local education service district to help support this work at the secondary level, with the elementary continuing their work that they started the year before. With the 22-23 school year being the first full back from the pandemic with no restrictions, we were able to keep hot button topics like masking and vaccines from being the focus. And this allowed us to shift the focus to restoring SEL practices in the building. Last year, we were able to work at developing a better K-12 plan for meetings. Building level meetings at the elementary are continually being refined, and the secondary level took the year to develop the correct staff to be involved in their meetings, as well as working to identify the outcomes the different meetings should be having. We have worked to have our special education department continue to receive the specialized training they need, while incorporating the department staff into all of the Gen Ed staff meetings and training without overwhelming them. This has been made more streamlined as we work to develop better K-12 meeting planning and structure. Another change in practice was to work to refine the transition plan for our students from elementary to middle school. Student exposure to staff and students, we had parent guardian nights and informational emails and letters, while allowing for community conversations and input is allowing us to better support our students and families as they make this transition. All of these examples to change or refinement to practices has allowed us to focus on improving our work on our strategies from supporting student transitions to increasing our focus on student and family mental health and social and emotional health and everything in between. The next narrative question ODD asked was, what barriers or challenges to SIA implementation have you experienced that are helpful for your community and our state leaders to be aware of? What adjustments, if any, did you make to your SIA plan as a result of these challenges? Again, this is last school year. With last year, we still having the general delays from the pandemic, we did have a struggle with filling all positions that had been posted. While we feel fortunate to have gained the employees we did, we still had open positions. Along with open positions, the secondary level was in year 1 of principal, 2 new assistant principals, and a new high school counselor. The lack of systems, loss of institutional knowledge, and unfilled licensed positions resulted in inefficient systems specific to master scheduling that resulted in uneven class size across our high school system. Substitute shortages left us scrambling at times to find coverage for classes. This led to teachers covering other classes or administrators covering. And when this happens, it stretches the staff on site and can make carrying out the daily tasks that much harder. At schools, we are often told to work with community partners. When you're a rural small school with no real city core, community partners can be the local farmer, a small grocery store, or a dairy queen. We struggled post-pandemic to find partners from neighboring communities that were allowing us to visit if we could find the busing or wanting to travel to us. Because of this, we have not had the fully educationally enriching after-school programming as we wanted when SIA was originally written, which would have been about 4 years ago, just to keep in mind, that was all written before the pandemic even happened. So as such, we have asked current staff to help with short-term after-school programs, and it worked to fill the gap, but it was not the intention of our original strategy of SIA. The third question from ODE is SIA implementation includes ongoing engagement with all students, local students, families, staff, and community partners. How have relationships with or between these groups changed and or been maintained through this academic year? Consider the community engagement toolkit. I do not have a copy of that for you, I just realized, but if you would like one, I can get it to you, or Jim can if you really want some fun reading. Well, we have already commented on a lack of robust community partners. We are blessed with strong support by our community. We have numerous opportunities beyond our athletic competitions that allow community members to come to the school campus and engage with students and staff. Both of our school campuses held widely attended back to school nights, and school conferences were well attended. We have a music program that runs K-12, and both programs hold regular concerts that are often standing room only in regards to the attendance. We hold a Veterans Day celebration at the secondary level, and at our elementary holds a Title I night and a parent PE night, which also draw huge crowds. Continuing on that question, we have some school-focused support organizations as well. The Parent-Teacher Organization, or PTO, holds very well-attended events throughout the year to raise funds to support our classwork in grades K through 5. The Billy Boosters, or as we know them, the Boosters, raises funds to support athletics, primarily in grades 7 through 12. Although many big ticket items such as facility improvements benefit everyone in the community, those of you around for the track redevelopment can attest to how much that track gets used by everybody. We also have the Pleasant Hill Education Foundation, which raises funds to support extra classroom projects, field trips, and clubs in grades pre-K to 12. These partner organizations are very involved in our schools and fully volunteer operated by community members. Some rich discourse and involvement often come from these groups. We are continuing to support our current list of activities and community events, while also planning to attract even more community members, especially from our focal groups, to join in more of the events and groups. I will make an addendum to that, but there is no way I could stand here and list all of the cool events that go on this campus, and if you've been around, you know a lot of them, so I did not list them all tonight. The last question from ODE. As you think about what guided your choices and prioritization efforts in this year of SIA implementation, what stands out? How will what you've learned this year impact future SIA implementation efforts? A main standout from the 22-23 school year was how much of a toll the pandemic took on our students, staff, and community. While things were back to normal as far as restriction, there was carryover and fatigue, mental health needs, and other items that made things tough at times. Much as with the rest of the country, we all dealt with work and personal stress, and we did deal with some issues of this in our small area. To support staff and students, we brought in the SEL curriculum and supports with a focus on the secondary level. This has taught us not to discount the world around us while we are focused on education. However, we also need to remember that our staff are people too, and sometimes need support or breaks to regroup. Continuing on that question, we need to always continue to work on drawing more community members to the schools. And if we do not get them here, how do we work to get their voice included in our decision-making process? While this will be an ongoing issue and the reasons for lack of participation are wide and varied, we must try new and innovative ways to reach out to people and have them reach back. The 22-23 school year brought us returning fully from the restrictions of the pandemic, bringing onboarding a new high school principal, a middle school principal, the AD assistant high school principal, and a superintendent, plus general staffing changes and an ever-changing world we live in. I'm amazed at how well our community rallied around us. We have sent sports teams to state. Our FFA program has competed successfully at the state and national level. Our elementary students started a kindness club to bring smiles to students and families at morning drop off. And we have students in the secondary school coming over at lunch to do lunch studies to the younger students who need it. All of this is to say, while things may have been dark, there are amazing lights shining through in the students of today, and seeing our staff and community come alongside to support and uplift them speaks to the foundation we have to build on. We have done some good work with SIA, and we need to continue to build on a strong foundation. Any questions? For me?
No question, it's recommended that you accept the 2024 NC report.
Your motions,
I move to accept the SIA report.
Second.
we moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you for all your work on that.
My pleasure.
It looks like a lot of work.
That's what I'm here for.
This next one is the 23-24 Department of Ed SIA grant agreement. And again, Department of Ed requires that grantees through the Student Success Act present the Pleasantville School District grant agreement orally for approval at the meeting without public comment, provided the board needs to make the OPP. We also post these two items on our website. And in line with, I would assume like a paper reduction. You've got in front of you, the exhibit for the grant. In particular, if you look at pages 15 through 17, it gives you a reminder of what the grant is about. So SIA grants are for two purposes. The first one is meeting students' mental and behavioral health needs, and the second is increasing academic achievement and reducing academic disparities for students who are from racial groups that have historically experienced academic disparities, for students with disabilities, English language learners, economically disadvantaged students, students who are homeless, and students who are foster children. That's on page 15 of the grant. Page 17 of the grant goes a little bit deeper with items A through D for what the funds can be used for. So it can be used for things like increasing instructional time, addressing students' health or safety needs, reducing class size, and expanding availability and student participation in well-rounded learning experiences. So we are anticipated to receive approximately $968,922.27 for SIA activities that are set forth in that exhibit A, and is recommended the board of directors accept the OPE SIA grant agreement.
Any questions?
How did they figure the grant amount?
Do you know that exactly? If
Yeah.
not already.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't hear the answer, sorry.
Or membership.
Okay.
It is a legislative action item as well, so one that gets money put into it each year. And so the amount that's budgeted for it by the legislature can change. It's one of the items that was due to not receive as much funding this year without some lobbying that took place. To the level of staff.
do we have a budget number for this? And was it this?
I think we budgeted, I wanna say maybe 70,000 more than that, just because we weren't sure where it was going to be used, but we know that that's where we have to reach. And when I say that, I should add, so generally, things like, are we buying a service to, have a, what am I trying to say? Like, for the psychological. Thank you, something words today, are we gonna have a person or are we gonna have a service? So I had to budget it in kind of both places, but really, we're gonna hone in rather than them.
You have to spend it all in this school year.
Absolutely, yes.
So if it's for a school psychologist and we don't hire one, what happens to the funds?
Well, that's why I allocated. So basically, right now, we're doing through service, so the personnel money is not gonna be used, the service money will be.
Okay,
Be one of the, when we get into the budget piece, it'll be one of those pieces that will likely come back as well, and spend personnel money, saying, all right, anything else, I don't know.
You weren't able to hire.
Just sources like, but we use CM money to build pay for, an outside.
Right.
agency, contract.
okay.
I'll move to approve the data board grant agreement.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded.
Okay, which one of you?
Jennifer.
Okay,
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes unanimously. 7.0 board discussion, 7.1 article, what is a professional learning community? Would you like to start us off, Jim?
Yeah, just maybe as a reminder that, during the budget, getting some short articles out to you that are really kind of in flavor of the work that, you know, just to build some collective knowledge and thoughts about the work that they're doing. The last two have been kind of leading up to what is professional learning community. The document you have in front of you is actually from Richard Dufour, and Dufour is actually we have a professional development model around professional learning communities. And I've been heavily involved with the learning communities for a number of years, so I'll stop there and see if there's any sort of comment or reflection.
Would be, I think that's the same question I had the last, a little bit. Would you describe what we're doing here as this already?
The Dufour model, yes, at the elementary school.
Yeah.
The bones of it, as far as getting teachers together, starting to at the secondary level. And I would say the next piece in that is actually defining the work that you're going to be doing. So I think you see number 1 on here, number 8, the big idea number 1 is ensuring that students learn. And getting adults together to review data, share practices, but it goes a little bit further than, you think of it as being kind of intuitive, that if you get students or teachers together and say, okay, let's talk about our craft and our trade, let's review data, let's ensure that students are learning, that would be a natural occurrence. And what I find or have found as being a building administrator is it does take practice, it does take time, and got to identify a note keeper, somebody to run the meeting, a timekeeper, somebody to take notes, so you can continue to come back and revisit the thoughts that you have and the tasks that you sent forward. So the Dufour model really offers that. It offers a template to actually follow through your meetings. See, you're going somewhere. You know, you're meeting the objective.
I'm assuming there are people that don't like it.
At the elementary level,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
they appreciate it because it structures their meeting. Yeah, and at the time, Rusty, that I was going through working this through with our staff, unfortunately, I was going through a personal issue with my own mother, and really late one night, guess what book I was reading before out loud as reload to my own mom. And one of the nurses came and grabbed me and said, "Can I see that book you're reading?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "That's the same one that we're reading here in the hospital. You need to go up to floor such and such and see these bulletin boards that we've created." I was just like blown away. That, it's not only an educational, it's a service model.
No, it's not. That's what I asked, because I have found in these sorts of things that people opt out. They don't like it.
Yeah.
The majority do.
I would characterize it more as apprehension and some anxiety about the fear that we all have of maybe exposing that we don't know something. Which for adults, working in a school system, we need to be modeling, because every one of our kids come in class every day, probably feeling that way, but it is insecure and anxious.
So we're still at the development stage, so like in some of the examples here where they've already got like not only the meetings occurring, but now they've got a plan in place. They've got a very specific plan in place for how to address. Or how to respond once they identify students that are not learning. And we're still a ways away from that, or are we trying to do it, we trying to do that all together?
I'd say we're a ways away from it, and some of the difficulty of this is when we've got, say, 3 administrators at a middle and high school, and you've got a 6th grade team or a 7th grade team or an 8th grade team, if they're meeting as grade levels or they're meeting as content areas of science, social science. You can't be everywhere at once, and then you're looking at time as far as if you do try and spread those things out, then you're running from meeting to meeting to catch up. Want to talk a little bit about the REN work? You did, done?
Yeah, so we're really looking at some thoughtful teaming through REN. We've had them come out one time. We continue to go and meet with them at the ESD in order to start to move. So one of the problems that we've run into is that we have a regular time to meet as staff. In particular, office staff, but I think that finding a way to build a structure in which we can get teachers around the table. We're kind of in the process of breaking the work that we've done apart and restructuring through their help. Just so the real conversations are happening with teachers.
One of those spaces that they're doing that with is with the care team, so we're able to sit on that team. We have another special education case manager will sit on it. At the middle school, the high school, case with that is an administrator and then also council and then a similar structure at the middle school. And so those are the teams right now are really kind of digging deeper into a model. And REN is Western Region Educator Network. That is through our ESDs. There's a creative mind of being able to get ideas like this off the ground and have support for schools. So there was a team that went out to a training thing ESDs last week. So
And it was the team of administrators or some of the teachers included in that.
administrators went to that, counselors.
Yeah.
And counselors.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of the next step, I think, is getting some teachers around that table and having some conversation. Around some of the problems in practice that we can help work together to.
So you bring up the difficulty of having 176-day contract or student days, a 93-day contract for teachers. The days are literally assigned to grading or teaching. For the most part, there's a couple of days in there for some staff development, but very small. So it's the importance and also understanding the huge investment that the early release schedule plays, even though it's short periods of time, but it's a guarantee every Friday to be able to do this work. And it slows the way down, but it's the time that we have available.
Right.
And we are dedicating more time at the middle of the high school for specific time for teachers to sit down and be talking about their students and how best to support them. We're starting to circle around data as those teams, and so that's been a process, but it's definitely moving in the right direction in terms of what information the teachers are asking to have and discussing in the faculty and start speaking.
What's I get in both buildings, but what's the expectation of participation from each teacher? Is it a mandatory? Is it can somebody opt out and say I don't need part of that? What's the expectation?
So that's part of the reason that we're really carving time out during those building times, because it is an expectation that they attend the different grade level SSTs that are out.
It is not knocked out in my building. Everyone participates. So every week you're in grade level, data team on Friday. Even if it's a building assigned day, I've got you working on something in data teams, or not data team, grade level PLCs. Data teams happen every Monday in my building, so grade level comes together. So today I worked with the second grade team. We went through all of our data, we put it into a data spreadsheet that is updated as things, happen. For example, this week is progress monitoring in Dibbles, so by Friday night, I'll do a data junkie night and I'll push out data so that they've got the latest data in their spreadsheet so that they can look at everything. And we're just talking about the lowest 20% of our group. And we focus on those kids. What can we do to change instruction? What can we do to change group size? What strategies have we tried? Other things that we need to be looking at. At that table, we have our counselor, we have the 3 grade level teachers, we have our title team there, we have special education as well as myself at the table. So that's on Monday nights. We do an SST once a month, sometimes twice a month, where students who are not making growth, we bring another team together. Whitney joins that team, I'm on that team, our counselor is part of the team. We bring special education, Title I, and the classroom teacher of that student that we're discussing to the table and start having conversations. We've already also made sure that our teachers are having conversations with those parents before we get to that step 2. Just in case we're making a recommendation of going to an evaluation. Planning the situation for that student. On top of that, this year we added another team that we felt was imperative that we add to the building called a BBST, Billy's Behavior Support Team, which Whitney and I have put together based upon some work that we did this summer in Portland. We get together once a month and we're just talking about kids who are in crisis in the area of behavior. We can cover one student. We've had this grand plan. We were going to get 3 a night. No, I don't either. We get one. We get one. But it's paid off. It's good work. Again, we have a whole team coming to the table. And we've already talked to parents that we are having these conversations and we move from that level, then we're meeting with parents. But everyone is willing to come to the table. I've yet to have a teacher, a staff member in my building say, sorry, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, if I don't get data pushed out by a certain point, I get these little love notes on Saturday morning that says, hey, did you forget to put share? Would you do that? I want to look at something.
Curious how, as a board, we're feeling about this, where we're talking about the staff and whether or not they're opting in or if there's pushback on it. But we've read several of these, 3 of them, these articles at this point. Kind of in this vein. And the school's head in this direction, so it's kind of, I mean, if this is the direction the admin's heading in. Does anybody have concerns about that direction? Any other additional questions about that direction?
I'm
kind of curious.
Happy to finally see that direction taken. I believe that was the whole point of what was originally workshop Wednesdays. And then it was, well, we need more time and, the difficulties with parents of the middle of the weekday and so forth. And okay, it's going to be every Friday. And as a board member, you sit here and say, well, does that mean it's everybody gets out early on Friday or what's the, what is happening? And just my sense was always that it was being utilized better at the elementary school than the high school, that there was more coming together of the professionals to discuss the teaching and learning of the kids. But I don't know what happened at the high school, but did not visit any of those groups, but I think at the time, the hope was, and what we were talking about was BLCs. And to see a little bit more direction and leadership, I think is very positive. And hopefully we can get some benefit out of these that way. And I don't, when I hear about people opting out, I don't think it's an opt-out option. I mean, it's part of the job. And that professional development and being concerned for the students and trying to improve their education, that's part of the job. I think got a lot of people committed to that. I think just some direction and leadership is important.
Accountability.
Accountability.
And not to, I think you hit on it, John, is that the elementary has done a lot of this work is often the middle and high school is in different pockets. As far as I don't call it initial buy-in, because I don't think that it's been, I would say that the characterize it's been something that's been sold to do rather than it has been started to further be defined through the early release days for teachers, so they know ahead of time, this is what this particular day is going to be used for, this will be used for, and so on. The next piece is now we're starting to get some of that buy-in as far as getting the data in front of teachers, actually getting some of the outline or templates of the work in front of them to start to follow, so it becomes actually ingrained as part of just normal process. That they know these are the release days. And this style of work that we're doing, we'll be talking about students. Also at the secondary level is talking about multi-tiered systems of support and what does that actually mean? What does a support mean for a particular student? How do we assess the students? And think about like the health model as far as taking the temperature of the professionals in the room and what we're seeing. And then actually deciding, okay, here's a support that we can provide for the student or family that will believe to make a difference, and then coming back and revisiting to that, see if that's in fact. So the conversation that we're having right now, really basic conversations as far as we have students that are coming to school. What are some possible reasons? How do we actually make contact with the parents? What do we know about the student? What do we know about the family situation? What is recently maybe happened in the family situation if the attendance has all of a sudden changed? And what's going to happen after that? Are we going to meet with the student every morning, or we can make sure that everyone knows the student's name, just to be able to do something as simple as saying hi to them in the hallway, that they engage with them, make them feel welcome to school, and then revisiting that week after week after week to see that we're making progress.
Imagine it's more difficult with high school because it's more islands, they're groups, you know, it's not, it's much different from the elementary school.
Yeah, just the age of elementary kids is one that is, for me personally, going through secondary work as far as teacher training, and then where I was doing as far as coaching and starting as an administrator. And the thought was, was always kind of like, well, get you started as a principal, go to the elementary school to do that because it's viewed as kind of easier. God, the amount of care that students are 5 and 6 and 7, but then you've got a school community that yes comes together to really care for their kids, or they have that group of kids all day long. With the exception when you have some reason for it. So it is much, the environment is much more naturally inclined for this type of work. But it's been done really successfully in middle school as well. The middle of mine. It's not as good as
Well, I just wanted to generate conversation. I mean, it seems like everybody, like we're as a board supporting this direction, but figured it would be a good idea to at least say it out loud. And not assume on my part, because I'm just one board member. And just to say it out loud, I think it's a great direction, and like John said, really look forward to finally seeing like instead of it being talked about like it was in the past, to seeing something come out of it. Yeah. But also making sure that if it's the direction we're choosing, that we're patient enough to see it through, because my guess is it's going to take quite a bit of time before we see dividends, like tangible dividends.
You're correct. The education will move slowly.
But it can also be reactionary, so it can be.
Yeah. The quicker though, I found that people that you can get into, and it really takes the administrative support to be behind it. But again, it's like if you had you have 10 teams within a building, if you have 10 administrators committed to following through, you get it really fast, but otherwise you're split up. To give you an example, like I remember personally taking on science, and we were working on scientific inquiry model, and what we did is did a scaffolding of that, so our sixth grade teachers took the scientific inquiry model to a certain level, as far as the writing process, our seventh graders then carried that to the next level, and our eighth graders would finish that into like a capstone type process, but, and together that didn't take a lot of time, because we dedicated, you know, once a month to doing that and having administrative support right there. Pushing it along.
I don't wanna ignore the work that's already been done at the elementary, that's there. I don't want that to be reflected when I say that it's been talked about but not done. I recognize that it's been taking place at the elementary level to some degree.
And once you've got the structure in place, the other initiatives that you can come in behind it as the institution grows or things change, so much easier because the structure is there. Staff utilizes the structure, uses the structure, and what to expect from the structure. You can virtually hand it out through an email, and they can get to work on it without having to build it from the start.
All right. Eight reports and information. 8.1 elementary report. Morning. Morning. Good evening, Deborah.
Hi. The elementary is hopping. I know I start that out every month, but it is truly hopping there. Attendance is on a downward decline in the month of November. And it isn't just illness, guys, it's hunting season. And I can't tell you the number of families who have seesaw messaged me, emailed me, called me, shared my phone number out a few times too, which is fine, and I just laugh. Just to remind me, Debbie, we're not gone missing school just on a vacation or having fun. We're filling our freezer right now. We need to take care of our basic needs, and it's something you do what you need to do. We understand, and we're going to keep educating you. We just want to see them here at school every day. So I'm anticipating that those percentages are going to start coming back up again, unless the new bug of the day really does kick in. We had a lot of phone calls today, headaches and achy bodies and things of that nature. So stay tuned. But we are right in the middle of our bucket filler event at the elementary, where we put out our community buckets for the community food drive, and our goal is to raise 500 pounds, or not raise, to have donated 500 pounds of food. And as of this evening, we've collected over 300 pounds of food. Our 4th and 5th grade had the pleasure of being invited back to Oregon State University. Sorry, all Duck fans, myself included. U of O did it one time, and they've never repeated the experience again. I don't know what happened, but they let Oregon State University have this experience of inviting schools from around the state, I know, to go up and to spend the morning touring the campus, getting exposure to various career events and opportunities that happen specifically up at Oregon State University in the engineering department. And then they spend the afternoon watching the women's basketball game. And our kids were so jazzed because they got to see the whole basketball game this year, which was a first for them because we usually have to leave early due to busing. So we could have worked with the first student ahead of time. We were able to make it work. Music is in the air. We start a series of 3 concerts tomorrow night in the elementary gym, and I invite you to attend 1, 2, or all 3 of them. Our 4th and 5th grade kick off the series tomorrow night at 6:30. The following evening will be 2nd and 3rd grade, and the last evening on Thursday will be our kinder and 1st grade students. Last year was our first year pulling it back to the elementary since we started doing this concert, the winter holiday concert. And we tried to do it in 2. We broke our school in half, if you remember, K2 and 3 through 5. And if you were one of the parents that was there, I apologize profusely. We had no idea that we'd have over 1,000 people attending each evening. So this year we're trying it by breaking it into 3 sections and we'll see how it goes. But again, I invite you to join us for that event. Not only is music in the air, but we have another community service project that kicks off or has been kicked off already by our 3rd grade. It is time for them to be working on getting ready for Toys for Tots. On Thursday, they will be taking all the funds that they've collected through donation or through little projects that they've done around the house, going to Target, buying toys, and then taking them over to the Springfield Armory and then back here. It is a very humbling experience for our kids. And we've gotten a lot of great community feedback, not only from the Pleasant Hill community, but the community at large about this event. Our kids are very excited. And if you ever want to see kids become very tightwad with money, go on that trip. Because let me tell you, they're looking for the deals and they're bartering sometimes with the clerks. So it's a fun event for our kids. We are also collecting donations right now for the Billy's Winter Shop, formerly known as the White Elephant Billy Buck Sale, where our kids will be able to go in to the gymnasium and to purchase items with their Billy Bucks for friends and for community members. And we also are in partnership this year with Lane County Arts Council of a different nature. We are not only going to do artist in residence, which we'll be exploring after January, but we are doing an assembly series this year. Our PTO is funding that for us. And so every month, starting in January, we will have an assembly at the end of the month. We're using this as an attendance booster as well. So we'll kick off the series with a puppeteer storyteller in January. And as always, you guys are always more than welcome to pop in, visit the elementary. We'd love to have you anytime. Questions?
Thank you very much. 8.2 middle school report. Good evening, Caleb.
Good evening. So our middle school students of the month for October, student of the month, Cora Flanders, 6th grade, Caden Seaton, 7th grade, Julian Stevens, 8th grade. Most improved student of the month, Ryder Panko, 6th grade, Jaylee Bennett, 7th grade, and Maddox Brink for 8th grade. Citizen of the month, Pippa Hammond for 6th grade, Trevor Olson for 7th grade, Grace Phillips for 8th grade. We had our Q1 assembly recently on November 21st. It was an awesome opportunity to recognize students that were nominated by their classroom teacher. So as we try to roll out safe, respectful, responsible this year as our behavior expectations, we had core teachers nominate a student that displayed great responsibility in their core class per grade. So we were able to honor them in front of the whole middle school. We're also able to honor students who had perfect attendance for Q1, as well as those that participated in school and community sponsored athletics in the fall, as well as our band and choir students. You see here the breakdown for October, but then I've added in November in terms of students who have a D or an F in a core class by grade. So you can see that. And then for the attendance piece of this report, so in my last report, I talked about regular attendance. So there is state statute around regular attendance being 8 1/2 days in a 4-week period. But then as we looked last week at that at a glance data, the state also recognizes 90% attendance, whether it's excused or not. So they're just looking at students who attend more than 90% of their enrolled school days, regardless of the reason. So you're going to start seeing that data for me. So when you look, you only see November's data, but you're actually looking at what the percentage of students by grade level that attend at least 90%. So I'll start tracking that instead of what I report now. The month previous. Looking forward, we have our first dance this Friday. We have a choir concert coming up on the 13th, followed by the dance concert the next night on the 14th. Okay.
Thank you. 8.3 high school report. Good evening, Garth.
Hey, how's it going? Okay, so we have our students of the month, Anna Crawford for 9th grade, Spencer Smith for 10th grade, Charlotte Keepers for 11th, and then Kathleen Lorson, who is with us today. Our most improved for 9th grade is Dean Scott. 10th grade is Boone Marquise. 11th is Yuan Stewart and Danica Martin, who unfortunately was able to join us tonight. Enrollments staying about the same. We're reporting that as Mr. Sullivan talked about. That 90%, that's what I'm also reporting to you. For attendance. I've kind of broken down subjects and gotten into a little bit more detail in terms of total students as well for that F&D list, and trying to work individually with those students as choppy as it is to keep them engaged in their schooling, to utilize these breaks as opportunities to gather work and ensure they can be working on it over the holidays and getting to school. We have again, I think I mentioned a student focal group on mental health this last Tuesday. We met for a third time. This is a really good opportunity for these students to come together and have some discussion around the issues that they're struggling with in terms of mental health, but also we're starting to really look at some solution-oriented items. I think last time one of the really powerful ones that came up was substitutes, and in turn that we're getting information to SEP so that they are those students that are on IEPs and 504s and have special accommodations that we're ensuring. We're offering those in the same way, whether there's 7 or not. Again, as Emily shared, Winter Spirit Week, we have Winter Formal this weekend. Concerts coming up for both band and choir. And that's where we're at.
Thank you very much. Brings us to 9.0 superintendent communication, 9.1 enrollment.
You should have a link in there as well. Play with the enrollments, graphic is a print off. Go through this. It's you can adjust the some of the parameters in there. But what I got here is a enrollment, and it's looking at Oregon births and pregnancies by county, and trying to just give you an overall outlook of what's happening within the county and the state. So deaths in Oregon are expected to still outnumber births, and they're expecting that for decades to come. The fertility rate ranks 5th lowest nationally. Oregon's population of 0 to 4-year-olds has already declined by 10%. In the decade ahead, anticipation is that 5 to 17-year-olds are expected to decline by 10%. This is particularly concerning because our current kindergarten class is the smallest we've seen since 2018. So there's need to be a watch to see if this is a trend that's hitting us as well, since a lot of our students are on Valley Rivers. Also seeing a trend that shows that Oregon parents are choosing to have children at a later age. So about 61% of Lake County births are happening with mothers between the ages of 25 and 34. It's anticipated that we'll have a 3-year dip in kindergarten enrollment, with potentially another 5 years beyond that for the enrollment numbers to balance back out. This will be important as we consider our funding and advocacy efforts at the legislative area, the state budget analysis, and legislators will be paying close attention to the school age population numbers as we continue to consider our funding. If you go to the economic forecast, I'm going to balance this a little bit as well. So, because we're seeing numbers continue to come down across the state, legislatures received positive financial news in the December economic and revenue forecast that was released in November. It showed a surge in revenue that is projected to generate an additional $343.5 million in net general fund and modern resources for 2025 biennium. Interesting about that is not even a quarter of the way through the current 2-year budget cycle, we've already 418.3 million in the corporate kicker, that's projected for the end of the 2025 right. Those funds will be required to be spent on K-12 education during the next budget cycle. Down below that, economic takeaways that were shared by Oregon Office of Economic Analysis. So our state revenue outlook appears to have stabilized, aside from persistently strong corporate income taxes. Large insurance tax payments, collections in recent months have tracked closely with the September forecast. In particular, personal income tax collections are finally started to weaken. Our general fund revenue collections are expected to decline significantly in the months ahead as corporate profits and businesses income return to trend and a record personal income tax kicker credit is issued. Although the revenue outlook appears on track for now, Oregon is yet to go through its first personal income tax filing season of the biennium. So considerable uncertainty still remains. Even excluding the payment of the kicker credit, the general fund revenues were expected to be relatively unchanged when compared to the previous biennium, and the revenue gain seen during the tax year of 2021 is unlikely to be repeated, with collections expected to revert back to their long-term trends. Traditional gains in general fund collections are expected to resume in the 25-27 biennium and beyond. So the state's reserve accounts grew as well. So the Education Stability Fund, the Rate Day Fund, and the cash reserves are currently projected to reach just over $4 billion at the end of the 2025 biennium. This is equivalent to 15.9% of the general fund budget. And it's worth repeating that Oregon is in a very strong position to weather even significant economic downturn. The only negative number in this report was the corporate activity tax, which funds the student success act for SSA, and it's projected to be slightly down from the September forecast. Since that has come out as well, we've got Portland Public Schools that was in the middle of a strike. Caught the attention of a lot of people at the same time. Saying Kaiser is announcing that they'll have mid-year budget cuts that are quite considerable. With some budget cuts coming for this next year as well. So the governor's also put out statements around school funding, changing school funding. So school funding is still a topic. They see they move with the dialogue. The question did come up, I guess the statement did come up from legislative side of things is, while school districts are asking as a 10.3, we landed at the 10.2 billion number. So obviously we came up, well, we gave you with what you wanted. And we had to explain, or I guess our lobbyists explained that no, you gave us what we told you we needed to actually roll things over. Over. So there's clarification there. So enrollment projections are looking like they're going to go down and still go down. Positive side of things is that collection of taxes is often well, and we've got money apparently the weather storms. All these still kind of spell uncertainty for us. I think we'll be fine.
Do you know if there's any difference in urban versus rural enrollment declines?
I would just, I don't. I think it would probably be I would imagine that it's going to be a percentage that's going to be really similar though. Per capita. Yeah.
I would expect the urban ones to follow in a more dramatic rate.
Yeah, but it can seem dramatic. I know coming out of Springfield, we were seeing that feeling of dramatic, but when you look at per capita, we've got 11,000 students, and now you're at 10,000, just, so losing 1,000 students out of 11,000. For us, if we got, 10 students, it can have similar impact. Yeah.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah. So enrollment, economic, and then next, so the exhibit that's 2224.66. I'm not sure how we received these in the past, and this was my first attempt at this, but it's kind of that mid-year progress and interim progress as far as goals. I kept it in the same format that I presented the goals to you earlier on, and then just added the evidence piece underneath those. So anything, because I'm not asking for feedback regarding my evaluation right now, but anything as far as thoughts about the format of it. Is it helpful?
I thought it was super helpful.
Same here.
Obviously, if you have
It's very comprehensive.
questions or feedback, we can go on executive session and do that. If you don't, and this is actually helpful, then I'll continue just to throw in this format for you.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement. This is, keep it coming.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Then 9.3. Is that, oh, we already did the economic forecast. I apologize. All right, so brings us to 10. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I said, I can go through it. Bullet by bullet.
I mean, considering the time you probably put into it, maybe you almost want to.
You know, I'm trying to do a little bit of the work on it ongoing, so it's not all at once. Okay.
Even though we won't have you go bullet by bullet, it is appreciated. Immensely. 10.0 or 10, we got 10.0 board communication, 10.1 committee or community news announcements. Hearing none. 11.0, any other business? Also hearing none. I think it looks like we're gonna, oh, are we doing 12?
Only because we
Right. I didn't hear any indication we need to go into executive session. Okay, so we'll move past 12.0. Right into 13. Our next board meeting is after the holidays, January 8th. 7 p.m. right here or online. Everybody have enjoy the holidays, however you celebrate them. Thank you for everything you do. See you next year. 14.0 adjournment.